there besides the live stream.
Okay, it looks like it's working now. I'm going to admit some more folks.
Welcome, everyone. Come on down. We're happy to have you. We'll be starting any moment.
Yep.
We're just waiting for more people to be able to join.
Right. I think we are good to go now.
Okay, well, hi, folks. I just got the go-ahead from Marissa. She's behind the scenes coordinating everything with our YouTube live streaming. There will be a recording on this that'll be available for you later. But my name is John Young, and I'm a volunteer with AARP California. I'm also a fraud fighter with our fraud fighting network here, and our mission is to help communities like ours avoid frauds and scams through information, most importantly, education and awareness. And we do events, and there are plenty of resources we're going to talk about that you can access. So thank you for joining us. This is your first time. This is our fourth and final interactive, and I'll put the emphasis on interactive, cyber and online safety conversation. We call this our cyber scam chat, and this is coinciding with Cybersecurity Awareness Month. October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Not too many people know about it, but this is the 20th annual Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So I hope you guys can join the conversation. You can put your questions in the chats, and in some sections we'll break and we'll take some of your questions. And we really look forward to hearing from you and answering your questions. But first, let me give you a little background about me and to set the stage for our conversation. My name, as I said, is John Young. I've got 40 years experience in cybersecurity and IT operations. I was at McDonnell Douglas as a C-17 network director way back in the mid-'80s, and I retired from IBM as a cybersecurity expert. Now, joining me, we're going to talk about someone else who's an expert who can definitely help all of us stay safe online, and this is Dave Morrow. Dave has over 35 years experience in cybersecurity investigations and responding to incidents that get reported. He's got a wide-ranging military career where he served for 12 years as a special agent for the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, and he specialized in computer-related crime. He's also headed cyber incident response and threat intelligence for major U.S. banks, and he's testified to Congress on cybersecurity issues before. So Dave, on top of all of that, has served as an expert witness in court numerous times. So welcome back, Dave.
Thanks, John.
I'm always excited to talk to you. And what we're going to talk about today, we're going to share with our audience, is about artificial intelligence and grandparent scams.
Right. Today, we're going to talk about how artificial intelligence can be used by scammers. We'll talk about how the things like what we call stock pricing and stock picking, artificial intelligence scams can be used for that. We'll talk about grandparent scams, and I want to talk to you a little bit about how voices can be cloned for grandparent scams, and anything where anybody calls you and talks to you, because that's a very big, when I talk to people about artificial intelligence and fraud and what's coming up, that's one of the big things people are worried about. So also, I thought we might kind of flip the thing around a little bit, and I'll ask you questions, because I know artificial intelligence and fraud is kind of your area of expertise. So I'll ask you some of your knowledge about artificial intelligence and scams, if that's okay with you.
I'm happy to do it. I love that idea, Dave.
So go ahead and do we have any questions first of all to find out? One of the things I wanted to talk about was the use of what artificial intelligence is. Artificial intelligence is really just the trying to use computers to make human thought processes and processes in general that are done by people faster, more efficient, more consistent, and less error prone. And you see, we probably have seen artificial intelligence in use and might not even know it, because if you use telemedicine or if you use other types of medical imaging, I had a CAT scan a couple of weeks ago. All of that interpretation of that is at least assisted by artificial intelligence. It's not people are behind the scenes kind of following up and doing quality control, but nowadays a lot of that image analysis and x-rays, CAT scans and such is aided by computers, and that's one form of artificial intelligence. Others are like self-driving cars. That's a big, apparently out in California it's a big thing of her self-driving cars, and you guys are testing those in San Francisco and some other places, and that's a form of artificial intelligence too, in terms of it's using sensors and the computers on the car to make decisions to do things that are, at least in theory, going to be faster and more accurate than what people make, and hopefully reduce accidents and reduce the dangers on the road and congestion on the roads. So, but a lot of people that I've talked to have been reading about artificial intelligence, and they see all of the scams that are involved, and or they read about and hear about the deep fakes of pictures of people, like there was one where Tom Hanks was used to flog a financial bureau or something, and it really wasn't him. And Tom came on board and was posted on his Twitter site and everything and said, "Hey, that's not me. I have nothing to do with this." But it looked just like him and it sounded just like him. And if you pay attention, sometimes you can tell, or you can make a pretty good guess where something is an artificially generated, and we can talk a little bit about that later if there's a question on how you tell, or red flags for looking for artificial intelligence or some generated type of image or voice.
Now, Dave, I'm going to take you back to the baseline.
Okay.
In our audience too. Artificial intelligence, AI, foreign terms. What does that mean? They've really become mainstream without an explanation to a lot of people, because reporters, media assume that people just understand what is AI. You've mentioned we use AI in everyday life, might not even know about it. Yep. So for anyone that's online, social media, you may wonder why you're getting ads for shoes or for purses or for perfume or cologne or guitars or whatever you've tried in the past to look for. That's because there's an algorithm that's AI based that's letting the application, Facebook or Instagram behind it, know that you might be interested in buying shoes or purses or cologne or perfume. So you'll get a lot of ads driven right to you, and that's AI based. Could be political too. If someone explores something political one time, the algorithm will start generating a lot of articles and stuff that's based along a political ideology. So that's one example. Another example is, you were talking about self-driving cars. Well, not many people really have a Tesla or some of those technologies, but what we all have, for the most part, is GPS. We may not all use it, but I'm sure people have gotten into their car, turned it on, and then the navigation map comes on, and it'll say home 6 miles away. And you'll wonder, how does it know that I want to go home? Well, it's based on the pattern. There's an AI behind it, artificial intelligence, that says 9 out of 10 times when you're at this location, you're going to go home, or you're going to go to a meeting at a certain place, or you're going to go to a certain restaurant or grocery store. So those are some of the everyday uses of AI, ads and GPS and social media. targeting. That's stuff that we see every single day and don't realize that's happening behind the scene. Now, a lot of things people may wonder is, what's the difference between AI and just regular computers? You know, regular computers are smart, right? Well, the difference is this. A regular computer can only act on what the programming is that's behind it. That means it's operating only on the instructions that it's been given. So basically, it's dumb in a way. Even though it can do calculations a lot faster than any person, it's just not very smart. Whereas with AI will build upon its knowledge of incidents that have happened and examples of things that it's taken into account from its past, and it will learn from it. That's where you might have heard these terms about machine learning. A regular computer can't do machine learning. All it's going to do is keep endlessly repeating these same instructions. That's why it could get into a loop and do the same thing over and over again. A good example of that is if you see a movie where you have two robots. One is a butler that's just a regular computer butler, and it brings you your coffee and it puts it down in the same spot on the table every day. But if that table is moved, the just regular old computer butler will drop it because it doesn't realize that the table's not there. Whereas with AI, it would come in and it would learn that if it puts this coffee cup down and there's no table there, it'll break. So that's just a typical example of why AI is a smarter form of intelligence, still computer related, but compared to our regular computers, AI can take it to another level. And that's why we're going to go into this conversation, why it could be so threatening to people. Whereas computers can just do the same thing over and over and over again, AI will do the same thing, but will learn from its basic experience, just like a person, and build on it.
Yeah, and one of the things I always have to tell people is that computers and the things that we deal with are just tools. And like any tool, they can be used for good things or they can be used for bad things. And that's been true since the beginning of time, and that's going to continue to be true. So they're not inherently good or bad, they just are. And it's how you use it and the intentions of people who are using it that makes it good or bad. And some of the, because I've had people, just come in, we ought to stop this right away. Well, there's going to be a lot of really good things that come out of it. There'll be growing pains. And part of the growing pains will be that right alongside the good things, the fraudsters will learn how to use the same technology to improve their game and do what they do better. And it'll make it harder for all of us to tell the difference.
Right. The difference is this. In the past, it would take a tremendous amount of resources to do what I do with the voice cloning with AI, where I could take your voice, Dave, from our conversation right now, just a minute and a half, and I could put together a recording, and you could leave it on your family's voicemails, your friends. They wouldn't be able to tell if it was you or if it was the fake AI recording that I generated. Now, the problem is, all of these tools have gotten so inexpensive or even free that just a regular hacker or scammer can utilize those. And that's the terrifying part of it, because they don't need much money to go into business. If you're in a foreign country, say, and you have an accent and you call someone and they say, oh, I don't deal with people from other countries. Well, AI will be able to make it so they could talk to you as an American. They can make it sound like an American woman. They could make it sound like an American woman from the South, or it can sound like an American man from Boston. So that's the difference. You could have someone in a country that's 3,000 miles away that doesn't really speak English well, and they would trip up normally trying to pull a scam, but they're able to fool us because it sounds so good. Now, that's on the rise. we've all gotten these calls that are AI generated that sound very robotic and they don't sound good. They break up. The problem is the technology has been improving and people are taking advantage of it that are bad actors. And you say, well, aren't they going to get caught? It's not likely, especially if they're doing this in a foreign country, because their government may not have an extradition treaty with us, or they just don't care. Or it could be a country that's actually antagonistic to the United States. Say Russia right now is very antagonistic to the United States, and they have people there that have master's degrees and PhDs in computer science that are geniuses, but they're having a hard time working, and they turn to attacking Americans because that's where the money is.
One of the things that you mentioned earlier, and I was reading a book about crypto, and we talked about crypto last week or week before last, and I started thinking about AI and how well it can do in stock picking and pricing. And I mean, because there's lots and lots of information that, and I'm sure there's a lot of people like me that basically, turn it on and forget it. Don't really worry about it. But I probably could really get a lot out of having the computer follow my portfolio, understand what I'm trying to do, and make suggestions, and maybe even do some automatic trading. And that's already being done to a certain extent. But you say that's going to be a lot more of that in the future, and the pricing is going to be offering some things we need to be thinking about from the fraud standpoint.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up, Dave, because my take is that billions and tens of billions of dollars are going to be made with AI stock picking software. The problem is a lot of that money is going to be made by hackers and scammers, and not investors who think they can buy an AI enhanced stock picking program. Let me explain why. Hackers will advertise that they have an AI stock picking program, but when someone installs it, what they're really installing is malicious software. They call it malware. So they've just invited Dracula to come in over the doorstep and take over their computer so they can do ransomware, they can steal personal information or whatever. The second aspect of that is scammers. Scammers can package just regular stock picking software that's not AI enhanced, but they'll say it is AI enhanced, and they'll make tons of money from people that will buy this just off the shelf software and think it's going to be an AI enhanced and make them tons of money. If you go on YouTube or if you go on Google and you put a search in there for fake AI stock picking software, you will not find hits for AI fake stock picking software. You will get free AI stock picking software, the 10 best AI stock picking software. So what I would like to say to our audience is don't fall for this, okay? Be very, very careful when you buy this AI stock picking software, because you can be installing malware that will put viruses on your machine, say, and steal your information, or you can get scammed and it'll just be regular software. And the third part of it is they advertise it as you just install a software, give the AI $5,000 and let it go. And at the end of the month, you'll read stories of people who have had testimonials. They made $25,000 in 1 month. That's too good to be true. And most of the time when it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true, especially in this case, because out of the box, there's no AI stock picking software that just does its own thing. You've got to configure it. You've got to set parameters. You've got to pick industries. You've got to give it ceilings. I mean, it's very complicated. That's why only the biggest stock firms actually have AI that they are using for predicting the future, not basically just going wild and just buying all this stuff. So it's not like a magic bullet that you just install this software and just leave it alone, your money will be gone because it won't know what to do, or it'll just sit there. There's a lot behind the scenes that has to be done with this. So let me just say to any of our audience, don't fall for this. Don't install AI stock picking software or anything that advertises as free software that's going to change your life and make you money, because money will be made, but it will be made by the hacker or the scammer that's luring you in to actually install this software that'll just cause you nothing but problems.
I guess what we tell people is the same thing we told them about cryptocurrency the other day, right? If you don't understand it, don't mess with it. You know, you have to really understand what you're doing and be prepared for some of the ambiguities that'll come up with that might not normally be there. And with, like we said, with cryptocurrency, you know, if you don't understand what underlies it, if you don't understand very clearly some of the risks and some of the red flags of things going sideways in your cryptocurrency bouncing, same thing with AI. If you haven't educated yourself to be alert and when notice things that look a little funny and allow you to pick out what's AI and what's not, what something's just not right, then don't do it. You know, let other people, because all the technology has growing pains. And all technology, good or bad, is going to take, you know, it has a maturity curve. It doesn't come out of the box day one that it's written, working the way the optimum way it should. That's why we have versions of software and continual improvement. And that's the same thing with AI. Where we are is at the very beginning of the curve of development and proving that AI is, you know, is a good force, which everybody thinks it is. But we're starting, you know, every time you do that, you see the pitfalls, because there's always a bad side to the technology, because this can be used for good and it can be used for bad. So one of the things that I do a lot of is talking on the helpline to the folks that are victims of the grandparenting scams and the related scam in the crypto world called pig butchering, which is similar to a romance scam. It may or may not have romance involved in it. And these are some of the most gut-wrenching discussions I ever have with people, because people can lose lots and lots of money. And at the end of the day, they're left not only with no money, but no love interest. And a lot of times family relationships are messed up and things like that because of this. And the grandparent scam is one of those things that is blatantly plays on our fears for our kids and our grandkids. The romance scams are those things that play on our loneliness sometimes, or wanting to have a relationship or whatever, and meeting somebody online that is, again, too good to be true, right? And all of these areas can be enhanced with artificial intelligence for bad. So can you talk a little bit about how maybe the grandparent scam, you know, we talked about it earlier, and we talked about the voice cloning. Let's talk about a little bit about how that works, and that you said that, you know, you could use it with a snippet, how short a snippet, what kind of software is available, and could anybody on here download voice cloning software and play with it and see how easy it is to do?
Yes, 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 and yes. Let me give a little background to everybody first. We're going to watch a couple of videos that I've put together that's highlight two specific grandparent scams that I've heard of numerous times from students in my anti-fraud classes that I teach for AARP to prevent fraud against older adults. Now, it's so common that the last few times I've asked, has anybody got these calls or know of anyone who's got these kind of calls, that your grandson is in jail or your granddaughter's been kidnapped? Everybody has raised their hand the last couple times, which to me is shocking. I'm sure if we took a poll here of everybody, we would find out that it's very widespread among our audience. Some details. Basically, younger people love TikTok, right? TikTok is the juvenile form of Facebook, basically, where Facebook is for older people and Instagram is kind of middle ground. Facebook bought Instagram to kind of hit a different demographic. But younger kids have kind of said, we don't want to deal with that anymore. So they moved to the fastest growing social media, which is called TikTok, which a lot of our viewers may have heard of. So when these younger people make a video on TikTok, I could take 1 minute to 1 minute and a half of them talking. I can pull it down, this recording, into my software. I could write a script, basically, having it say, Grandpa, Grandpa, I've been kidnapped. I really need your help. And then it sounds exactly like them. I won't just do it once. I mean, I will tweak it till it sounds so perfect that almost like a scope, an oscilloscope for sound waves won't be able to tell the difference just on site. In fact, I recently broke into a major online banking system using voice verification through AI voice cloning. So that's another thing I would kind of warn people about. Anyone that's using voice verification, I opted out when I saw that I could do that. And I said, that's kind of dangerous when, you know, you can get in there and start using stuff like that. So that's how it works in the hands of someone who's actually pretty sophisticated. A hacker, scammer will contact someone, and it's a targeted person because they will have it sound exactly like the grandchild. It's not hard to find out because a lot of times grandparents will appear in these videos and they'll give their names, and you know, it's very easy to find out that information. I have a $40 program that could allow me to find out, Dave, everywhere you've lived and every phone number you've ever had for the last 50 years, you know, which is kind of scary. I've even looked myself up and it was super accurate. It found every single instance of my first time I bought a phone line, and that was only $40. Another time I got hit by a car in a car accident and I wanted to know what's going on with this case. I was able to find every instance of what that driver had on their record in the past. And it was only $50 to go through the judicial system legally and find out all this information. So that public information is there for everybody. So basically, if any of our audience gets a call like the videos that we're going to see, okay, just realize, okay, the incidence of child kidnappings and, you know, kids going to jail, it hasn't skyrocketed, but the amount of scams that are AI voice cloning based have skyrocketed. So Marissa, if you have the chance, could you play the first video? And I want to let everyone also know, every voice in this video is AI cloned, okay? There's not one human voice here. I cloned every single voice you're going to hear. So when Marissa lines that up, we're going to see a grandchild kidnap scam. Nothing happened, folks. Don't be scared. This is all fiction, okay?
There was a time last year and we
Hello?
discussed this.
Hello, Edward. I want you to listen very closely.
What? Who the hell is this?
Grandpa, it's me, Sarah. They grabbed me at...
That's enough, little lady. Now, you know we have your granddaughter, and if you ever want to see Sarah again, you need to do everything I say. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Good. We know where you bank, and you have 45 minutes to get there before they close and do a wire transfer for $9,832 to my account. I'll text the information to your cell phone. If you tell anyone about this conversation, your family, the cops, the FBI, or the teller at the bank, your granddaughter will disappear, and you'll never hear from her again. The blame will be yours, and your son will know it was all your fault. Once again, do you understand me?
Yes, I understand.
Now hang up the phone and follow the instructions I sent you.
The money is nothing, just don't hurt her.
That's on you. Don't be late, old man, because if you mess this up, your granddaughter won't get a second chance.
Okay, I think everyone got the picture on that one. That basically, this is a scary, scary thing that's happening right now. Why does it work? Well, because it sounds exactly like them. Okay, it sounds like your granddaughter, because they know based on videos who is involved in the family. It's not just some generic voice that they're, recording. You could see the guy that's playing that is just sitting in his room and he's playing some files that are actually giving a response back and forth. And it's very generic. It's not hard to do. It's very, very easy to do. But what happens is we want to help so much if it's our grandchild that we get this adrenaline rush. And when they say go to the bank and do a wire transfer, I'm going to the bank. If I wasn't hip to the fact that this is a scam that they're doing. So what are some tips here? Tip is before you even come through an incident like this, talk to your family. Maybe have a code word or some phrases that you agree upon that will have to be said so that you know that it's really your grandchild. Second is, don't allow the hacker to take control or the scammer. They're just con artists. They're going to try to keep the conversation as quick and short as possible to get you off the phone and get you to the bank. Okay, push back. Okay, ask some questions because you'll soon find out that their knowledge isn't very deep. They only have a few files that they could run before they have to say the same thing over, and it'll sound very weird. The third thing is, if they say, don't contact your family, as they said, or the police, the first thing you need to do is contact your family because many times you'll find out that your child will say, hey, Dad, don't worry about it. She's safe here with us. It's all okay. That was a scam. But they just twist our thinking and get the adrenaline going. So we try to help and we just wind up getting scammed. In this case, you may have heard why it was some weird number under $10,000, right? A lot of times, if it's $10,000 and over, a wire transfer will trigger some kind of alert, depending on your state statutes or your bank. So that's why they try to keep it at an amount, below that, but which makes it really lucrative for them because this guy could do that all day long. You saw the video was less than 1 minute. And the next thing you know, Grandpa's running to the bank and doing a wire transfer. When a wire transfer is done, that money is gone. I mean, you might as well kiss it goodbye. So Marissa, we're ready for the second video. This is very similar. All the voices are AI generated that I just took off of YouTube or different videos. This one is a grandson kidnapping scam. Grandson and jail scams, excuse me.
Hello?
Grandpa, this is Josh. My friends got into a fight, but when the cops came, they took me in too. I didn't do anything, but I'm in jail.
When did this happen?
I really don't know what to do. They're taking me back to the cell. Please, my lawyer says she only has a couple of minutes to talk.
Put her on.
This is Allison Bell. I'm a public defender with the San Jose office.
We live in LA. What's he doing all the way up there?
Apparently, Joshua drove here with his friends and got into a bar using fake IDs. His friend hit another customer over the head with a beer bottle, and the police took all of them in. Joshua has 2 charges against him. One is underage drinking, but the other is felony assault.
But what can I do from down here?
Unless someone can post a $5,000 bond for him, he'll be spending the weekend in county jail. He won't go before the judge until at least Monday afternoon or Tuesday, depending on how many cases there are in front of his. He said his father would kill him, but he also said you were the only one he could trust to help him.
Can I bail him out using my credit card?
Yes, if you can come to the station in person.
It's impossible. I'm over 300 miles away.
The only thing you can do then is a wire transfer from your bank account.
How much is his bail again?
It's a $5,000 cash bond.
Okay, I can do that. How do I send it?
Joshua gave me your cell phone number. I'll text it to you. You only have about 30 minutes before they shut down the system.
Tell him I'm leaving for the bank right now. Thank you.
Okay, what's the final thing Grandpa says? Tell them I'm leaving for the bank right now. What did they do? They created a sense of urgency. Can you imagine a 17-year-old kid being put in LA County Jail or Northern California County Jail with a bunch of hardened criminals for who knows how long, a weekend, or whenever they get to this case? Of course, you're going to want to help. And they even give an alternative when he says, can I pay with my credit card? They say, sure, you can pay with your credit card, but you got to do it in person, knowing he's over 300 miles away and he's got half an hour to get there. It's impossible. So what can he do? A wire transfer. So they've basically given him options that he think would work, but it's all to this end of doing a wire transfer of $5,000. So you can see it's the same scammer who's doing just a different scam. One, he's doing a kidnap scam. He gets a little bored of that. He's going to do one for the kid in jail, you know, and I mean, he could do this 100 times a day. And if he only gets 5 people to do it, that's a lot of money. So the incidents of this have gone up. They're going to keep going up. And that's why I'm so glad that everyone is joined here, because AI is something that seems like it's far away, and artificial intelligence, it has nothing to do with me. But these creeps, con artists, are able to use these new tools that cost either nothing or almost nothing, and they're flooding our communications lines through voice and with text, trying to get people of our age to fall for these. So everyone who's on this call, push back, contact your family immediately, don't run to the bank. And the odds of it actually happening, why would they call you in the first place, right? They'd be calling the parent, and there's a whole bunch of logical reasons why, you know, this doesn't sound good. It sounds fishy, but it hits so quickly. It's another one that's under a minute. You got to make these decisions super fast. So this AI voice cloning is something that's devastating. It can cost a lot of money to people. It's on the rise, and I just want people to be aware of it and not fall for these.
Yeah, can I point out a couple of things too that
Sure.
that are different than what we've seen in the past? The one thing is that, and I've talked to somebody just the other day on the helpline that told me that, you know, this guy called me and he talked to me about something, and then he put on 2 or 3 of his boss and somebody else, and it was a different person, and so that made me feel more confident that it was legitimate. But as you can tell on that particular, you know, the second one we talked about, they can generate as many voices as they want to, male or female. And so just because there's multiple players on the phone, whether they're live people or generated, AI generated, don't let that lure you into the ideas, as my caller did the other day, that, oh, well, this is more legitimate because of that. And secondly, the whole idea of keeping things, you know, quick, do it fast, this sense of urgency. One of the things that I've had people foil these guys is that a lot of people, you know, don't, as a grandparent, I know my grandkids, none of my grandkids call me granddad. And so if I get a call from somebody purporting to be one of my grandchildren saying, granddad, that ain't one of my kids, you know, because there's another set of grandparents and they call him granddad. So you can be aware, even in the sense of urgency, you can be aware of what's being said to you and slow things down. That's the main thing to do in these type of situations, is to try to slow the whole thing down, regain your composure, because the more you're rushed, the more you're liable to do things emotionally and make mistakes. So the idea to slow things down permeates the whole thing. Also, now your first example was really good because it talked about, you know, hang right up and go to the bank. A lot of the times people will go into banks and be actually on the phone with the scammer who is saying, you know, if they question you about taking out your money, you know, or if they question you about, you know, getting a money order for so much money, I'll tell you what to say. Don't tell them anything more. And so if anybody asks you to stay on the phone with them while you go to the bank and get money out or whatever, first of all, don't go to the bank. Second of all, if they ask you to or demand that you stay on the phone with them, that is a big time red flag, because they have no reason to stay on the phone with you. If it's legitimate, you're going to tell them, and the bank's going to do what you need them to do. So, so those kinds of just being able to slow the whole process down and think through it and take some of the emotion and let your emotions settle a little bit is key in many cases to not getting scammed in either a grandparent scam, romance scam, any of those type of scams.
Yep. Well, Dave, great point. Slow it down. We'll go into some other tips, but I see the chat is being flooded with people's comments. So Strat, let's bring on one of our audience members to participate in the conversation.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, John. I'm going to invite Laura to ask a question, and then followed by Jack and Tom, and then we'll go to Linda's question.
Hi, I'm Laura. My question was, my question was, are fraudsters using people's voices on robocalls to perpetuate future scams? So, for example, you answer a robocall, you start responding to their questions. It doesn't go any farther, perhaps, but they then use that to do AI to perpetuate other scams.
Yeah, I can take this one, Dave.
Okay.
If you could go on mute, Laura, because I'm feeding back. Okay. Yes, they are. They are using celebrity voices. I'll give you a perfect example. Just imagine Ed McMahon calling you on Publishers Clearinghouse, telling you you've won, even though Ed McMahon never actually was with Publishers Clearinghouse. He was with American Family Publishers. That's besides the point. But what they'll do is they'll use a celebrity like that who's associated with a cause, as David mentioned, Tom Hanks. If you get a robocall and it's Tom Hanks and he said he's got a charity and he doesn't want that much money, whatever you could contribute, $5, $10, it sounds reasonable. Okay, I'll contribute $5, $10, $20. It's not much. But if they put out a robocall of 10,000 people and a few hundred donate $10 or $20, that runs into thousands and tens of thousands of dollars. So that's a great question, Laura. Yes, they use celebrities that are connected to causes to try to lure people in on the robocalls, and they do it 10,000 or 50,000 people at a time. They could buy 100,000 numbers to send out, and it would only cost a few $100s, I've heard, a couple $100s. So Strat, let's go to call number 2, please. Thank you, Laura.
Hi, Evelyn, care to ask your question? All right.
This is Jackie. This is Jackie and Tom. I thought.
Yes, please go ahead. Thank you. My apologies.
Hi, Jackie and Tom.
Go ahead.
Okay. Listening to the grandparents being scammed, I just keep thinking, how are they scammers getting their grandchildren's voices, and how are they able to match the grandchild with the grandparent? Now, I don't have any children or grandchildren, but I have a lot of nieces and nephews. And the idea that you said to call their parents to find out if this is all true is probably the best thing to do, because they would not come to me asking me for money. So that's what I was curious about. How do they get those voices?
I'll just say here, okay, the kids do it willingly. Tens of thousands of videos go up every day on Instagram, but more importantly, TikTok. And if you do a search on TikTok for grandparents, you'll get hundreds of videos where the kids are dancing with their grandparents, and they'll have a conversation with their grandparents, and they'll ask their grandparents their opinion on certain things, and they'll introduce their grandparents and say, this is my Nana, and their name will be on there. And it's not very hard. There's software I had explained to Dave that for $40, I could, with your name, I could track every phone number and address you've ever had, where you've had your line, and where you lived. So it's very easy from that point to put two and two together. I mean, they're not geniuses, but they're pretty clever. And it's not hard to do something like that. So that's how they do it. They connect through the grandchild, and they use that as a link to the grandparents. And from that point on, they're able to just go right to you.
I would imagine that we also give it away in Facebook, because I know, even before all the artificial intelligence thing really took on, we were seeing all kinds of different scams that were basically where they would go. I mean, if I go online and I want to find out information about you, even without paying $40, I can probably go on your social media accounts. I can, maybe even look in public records on my own that are available. There's plenty of companies out there that I can pay very little money to, even on a trial basis, for a week, and get all kinds of information on you. And, then I go to your social media and your friends' social media and look for videos where you're tagged. Your kids are tagged on your Facebook page or your friend's Facebook page. So social media is a gold mine for anybody trying to gather information about us. And
that's a great point, Dave. I would say one of the tips is keep your social media private.
Yeah.
And make it so only the people you want to have as real friends can see it. But see, with kids, especially teenagers, they want likes. They want followers. And the only way to do that is to get to as big an audience as possible. So they're basically broadcasting and hoping that they get up to the point where they have 500,000 subscribers or 1 million subscribers, and they get all kinds of ad revenue possibly and clicks on it. So that's how that happens. So great point, Dave. Strat, let's go to the next caller, please.
Right, I'm going to invite Linda to take us off of mute and ask a question, and then we'll go to Evelyn. So Linda, are you with us? Okay, one more time, Linda. All right, Evelyn, would you care to take yourself off mute and ask your question? One more time, Evelyn, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, I think I saw Evelyn. Evelyn might have been having problems getting her computer off of mute. I'll just go ahead and answer hers, because I can see it in Strat. I can see it in the chat. Evelyn's asking, what are the federal government doing to protect us against PayPal, Venmo, Zelle scams, like the protections against credit card thefts and frauds? Well, they're doing a lot, quite frankly. There's a government agency called the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, and they are charged with helping those of us who have financial, interactions with financial companies, whether they're banks or credit unions or loan companies or whatever, helping us not be taken advantage of by those guys. And what the PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, those are all PayPal is not necessarily, but Venmo and Zelle are all backed by banks. I used to work for one of the banks that is involved with Zelle. And there are, if you have a problem with them, there are numbers you can call, and we have the numbers. We just got that at the helpline the other day, those numbers to call to Venmo and PayPal and Zelle, because they make it really hard to talk to anybody about it. But the government's doing quite a bit, but it's kind of a slow process, because it's a regulatory process, and there's laws that say they have to publish rules, and it's not like they can just do by executive order and bang, they can't do it, can't do whatever they're doing. The PayPal and Zelle and Venmo, the scams that use them usually as a payment venue or a way to get money from point A to point B. And they just as easily could use, gift cards. People still use gift cards to pay things that, so that the guys can get the money in seconds, and it's very hard to retrieve. So they're trying to do something, and I would urge you to go to Google the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, and look at some of their information. They have some really good handouts and stuff about you and your relationship as a consumer with the financial industry, and how to fight scams and those things. But they are doing things. It's just going to, I mean, none of this is fast enough for any of us. They've been working on robocallers for 10 years, I know. So hopefully it's not going to take 10 years for them to start making progress, but they will make progress in it.
Yeah, great points, Dave. That will conclude our audience participation. Thank you so much for participating. Now, Marissa, can you please put up the slides? Because we've got tips for you and resources that you can actually use to be able to help defend yourself against fraud. Okay, the first one is fraud prevention tips. And we talked about them briefly. If you don't recognize a phone number, let the call go to voicemail. That will solve 90% of your problems. Here's a big tip that I always tell people: Social Security, the IRS, Medicare, government agencies don't just contact you by phone. They'll send you documentation through the mail. You'll get in your mailbox, or if you actually joined online, you'll get an email saying it's in your box, but there won't be a link to it. You'll have to actually log into the app and see it in your inbox there. You can block calls by registering online at www.donotcall.gov. This is one that people love. I've used this in every fraud prevention class that I've taught. Every single person has taken this down. I've used it personally, and it's cut back on over 90% of the calls to my parents and me. Also, you can register up to 3 phone lines at a time, which is great. The one everyone's probably aware of: don't click on links in emails or texts, because it could be someone pretending to be your friend. This is something I would say could be the #1 tip in any case. Never send money to someone you met online or who's sending you an email. Just don't do it. Think 100 times before you do it. Ask your family before you do it, because it's just going to probably be a scam 99.999% of the time. Sending money to someone will just end up in heartbreak. If you are asked for a payment by gift card, wire transfer, or cryptocurrency, I'll guarantee you that's a scam. Look for misspellings or grammar errors in emails, social media, and text. Here's where AI is kind of working against us on that, because these foreign scammers that don't speak English too well, they actually will put in ChatGPT, which is an AI text program, and say, can you help me with the grammar? And it'll clean all of that up. If you receive an urgent call to help your grandchildren, please contact your family immediately. I also said push back on the caller. And before you even have this situation, set up a code or some kind of phrase or life experience that you can talk about to see if it's really there. And David brought up, if they call you grandpa and you're not a grandpa or a granddad, if they call you, grandma, and all of the grandkids call you nana, then, you know it's a fraud. Now, scammers will pressure you to bring in others to join in the misery, and also demand secrecy from your family. We've talked about that. Do the exact opposite. Don't bring in others, and make sure you know to talk to everybody in your family. Now, here's a holiday gift tip, because we're coming up on the holidays, and we're actually going to have a episode on this before the holidays. So you buy holiday gifts from legitimate vendors, not social media sites. I always see these great products on social media. So what I do is I compare them on Amazon, and I see the price of them, and I compare them to other ones, and I instantly know this is a fake, and they have these pop-up sites on social media. People buy the product and they never get the product. And it's a word of wisdom: just stay with a legitimate vendor. As we talked before about something being too good to be true, it's a scam. If the price of an item is a quarter of what you'd expect to pay, that's a scam. Okay, so next, let's go to our resources, please, Strat. We've got quite a few just from AARP. If you got a phone with a camera on it, why don't you take a quick picture of this and you can refer to this later. I should have said that before. Strat, if you can go to the other screen first and give it a second, maybe people can take a picture of it. Yep. So if you have a phone that can take a picture of these. You can also just go to aarp.org, and all of these are on there. Some people are saying it's blurry, Jackie and Tom. Well, sorry about that. If you have a big enough monitor, then you could take it, but just go to aarp.org. All of this stuff will be in there. If you go to aarp.org and you click on money, there's going to be a section for fraud and scams on there that'll cover all of this. Where can you report fraud? Federal Trade Commission, known as the FTC, report fraud.ftc.gov. You can go to Commodities Futures Trading Commission. Investment scams are really on the rise for people of our age group, so all of these are valid. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. The FBI has their internet website. They call it IC3 for Internet Crime Complaint Center. And if you happen to be involved in some crypto scam, God forbid, go to the original crypto exchange you use. So I'd like to say thank you to all of our audience. Thanks to Strat and Marissa for being behind the scenes. And thanks to our expert, Dave Morrow, for flipping the script on me and asking me a bunch of questions, because I love that. And I'm John Young. Dave, thank you again. And
Thanks, John.
Everyone, have a wonderful day. Thank you.